Hey, what's up, everyone? Today I'll be reading Cat's Cradle, chapters 49 through 64, and sharing my reactions as I go. So, last stream, I got up to chapter 48, and I just reviewed my reaction to the previous segment. And I was just kind of thinking about how Kurt Vonnegut is building out the world of his story, which is basically an alternate vision. It's a particular vision of America, America with its tourism, with its consumerism, with its politicians, with its intellectuals, with its scientists. Um, and we learn about this world through our somewhat unreliable narrator, the Jonah. And we we it's hard for us to side with Jonah because it's not clear how reasonable Jonah is, but you kind of just accept that we're gonna get um, ridiculous characters filtered through Jonah himself. And this just struck me as vaguely, obliquely cubist, like Picasso-esque. And I'm not an art historian, so tell me if I'm totally off base for saying that. I didn't research this before saying this, but we're kind of observing the same object from multiple angles at once. Uh, and it looks kind of wild. It looks kind of wild, but we're fleshing out a sort of cubist picture of America, post-war America, uh, with nuclear capabilities, and that feeling, a sort of general anxiety that we kind of teeter around and sort of laugh at, right? That is the world that kind of occurs to me as I read this. And as I alluded to in the previous stream, I think the best approach for just reading a story like this is, you know, just accept you're gonna get juked out by Kurt Vonnegut. He's gonna just keep throwing twists at you. I'm not really gonna try to stay ahead of him. I surrender, and I'm gonna just dive into it and just let Kurt Vonnegut pull me around, if that makes sense. So that's gonna be at least my approach for the remainder, for this stream, and let's see what happens. Okay, so we're at chapter 49, but I want to remember what was happening in chapter 48 and 47. So we had a dynamic tension. Yeah, we had the Charles Atlas and Buchanan. Um, and Philip Castle, I think, is the guy who we're gonna see some rich guy and um, oh no, Philip Castle's the son. Philip Castle's the son, and there's so many characters, and I'm horrible with names in real life. So, you know, uh, naturally, I'm also horrible with names in fiction. Um, Biku, welcome to the stream. Thanks for saying hi. Good to see you. So we're reading, we're learning about Bakonin or Bakonanism for the first time now, and let's see what happens. Just like St. Augustine, Bakonin was born in 1891. Cool. He was black, British subject, Lionel. Lionel, yeah. Boyd, extremely British. Extremely British. He was the youngest, wealthy family. His father found treasure, and I vaguely remember reading a bit of this. Um, the treasure was reinvested. Oh, my bad. I did read this. There we go. And young Lionel was educated, good. And we have, when I was young, I was so gay and mean, just like St. Augustine. So he's gonna be, um, he's gonna turn into a saint. St. Augustine had his days of youth. He repents. He becomes Christian. Tolstoy has his day of youth. He repents. Tolstoy becomes Christian, mystic Christian, but still. And now Bakunin. But I don't know how you feel about this sort of like pastiche of like soul music. Like, I don't know. Please, Mama, don't you faint. He got to be a saint. It's like, I can't tell. Is this racist or not? Like, I don't know how I feel about this. These like really bad poems. All right, well, moving on. 49. A fish pitched up by an angry sea. Uh, no, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna sit on this for a second, okay? Um, I'm thinking about it now, and on the one hand, when I read literature from previous eras, I don't like philosophically. I just don't apply the standards of my era to those people. Um, I think context makes the actions and verbal behavior, especially if it's verbal, right? It makes the verbal actions of previous people really hard to parse, like morally. It's really hard to suss out, like, what effect this could have had or was having or whatnot. And it's a world that has already passed, and it's not something I can practically do anything about. So, um, I don't see a lot of I don't see a lot of sense in getting upset that a book exists in the present that was written in the past. Um, I think the healthy approach is to read the book that was written in the past and to just compare and contrast our attitudes and how they've changed. I think that's actually educational, and that it can be transformative to some extent. Um, the insinuation, I think, the sort of implicit uh, assumption is that just by these books existing, just by racist attitudes existing, or feminist or anti-feminist, chauvinistic attitudes existing, that contributes to more of it existing. I don't know if that's totally true. I mean, I think I think that sort of undersells the intelligence of the reader, because readers aren't passive. You know what I mean? Like, readers, first of all, out of the entire world, readers are more likely than not to more likely than the average to really think about these things, right? So when I read a story and I read some really dumb poem like this. When I was young, I was so gay and mean. I drank and chased the girls just like young St. Augustine. He got to be a saint. Please, mama, don't you faint. To me, to my modern ears, that rings kind of vaguely racist, you know? And I feel uncomfortable with it. And I think it's okay to feel uncomfortable with it. But I also think it's okay to just continue reading. You know what I mean? Like, because the fact that I felt uncomfortable with it comes from the sort of lightening moment of compare and contrast that's happening in my head. Like, oh, how does that sound to me today, right? And then I get that is actually an invitation for me to think about how things have changed, what my attitudes are. It actually helps me to reflect on myself by being able to go through this. So, so again, my position on these kinds of things, on like sort of outdated language and offensive language and and whatnot, and attitudes even coming out um, from authors is I can dislike the author, I can dislike the text of the author, uh, but I could still learn from the text. You know what I mean? Like those can both be true. Like that text could still be edifying for me, despite me not knowing or not liking parts of it, or even the author himself. Um, Now, I don't know enough about Kurt Vonnegut to know whether this is a generalizable. I mean, I can't generalize too much about Kurt Vonnegut just from this one, like little ditty, right? It's like not enough information for me to make a judgment about Kurt Vonnegut. But let's say I were to find out that Kurt Vonnegut was just a dick, right? Which he doesn't seem like one, but whatever. Let's just postulate it. Let's just assume it for argument's sake. Even if you were a complete dick, the work itself could have an aesthetic value and a sort of edifying, even sometimes a moral value, despite the author. That is my position on reading texts like these. Um, I will defend, okay, I will defend awkward and uncomfortable experiences in old literature. All right, here we go. Azure, good to see you back. Don't be sorry, it's all good. It's just I'm just chilling, reading, regardless, But I am happy to see you here. A fish pitched up. Here we go. Intellectually ambitious. Now he has wealth too. He's gonna get a higher education. He goes to LSE. Okay. Smart boy. Education interrupted by the war. Gassed. Hospitalized. Discharged. Tobago. Lady Slipper. Lady Slipper must be the boat that he was, yes. 80 miles from home. Stopped by a submarine. Taken prisoner. And then okay, destroyer took them. The U-99 was sunk. Okay, pause. So, boy, wait, are we gonna call him Johnson? Okay, we're gonna call him Johnson right now. The original, like Bakonin. Johnson is having a rather dramatic life. Okay, I actually want to know. I don't know enough about Buddhism to know Buddha's life, but I wonder if this is kind of modeled on Buddha's life. Like in the 1960s, Buddhism was kind of becoming. I think Japanese Zen Buddhism in particular was starting to penetrate the Western consciousness. So maybe. Raven was bound for Mediterranean. Never got there. Okay, obviously more ridiculous things will happen. Cape Verde. He gets to Massachusetts, Rhode Island, conviction. Something was trying to get him somewhere for some reason. He stayed in Newport. He worked as a gardener and carpenter on the famous Rumford estate. I wonder if that's real. Why's my... it's just a fake name. All right. But it comes out multiple times in many of his stories. During that time, he glimpsed many distinguished guests. J.P. Morgan, these are real names. FDR, Harry Houdini. Scheherazade. I feel like that's a real... I feel like I've heard of that. I think that's real. Or did I hear from this story? Oh, so I don't know how to pronounce this right now. Is that Sahrazad? Sahrazad? The Sah. I don't know what this sigma symbol is supposed to be pronounced as. Let me just get that real quick. Shah. Shah. He. Razad. Alright. Shahrazad. Shahrazad. That's really hard to say, but got it. Shahrazad. Good to know. 1001 Nights character. Good to just have that in my background knowledge. I'm not gonna get into the details, but now I know the face, I guess, and the name. All right. What a fancy life. What a fancy life. Gandhi, Lady Slipper 2. So this is gonna end up with him at the island, yeah? Earl McCabe, Marine deserter, stolen money. They go to Miami, but a gale hounds them. On to San Lorenzo, finally. John and McCabe, naked, swim ashore. Baconin reports the adventure. A fish pitched up by the angry sea. I gasped on land, I became me. That's kind of like nice and mythical. He was enchanted by the mystery of coming ashore naked on an unfamiliar island. Yeah. That is that would be quite enchanting, you know? Just like whoa. He resolved to let the adventure run its full course, resolved to see just how far man might go, emerging naked. It was rebirth, be like a baby, the Bible say. So I stayed like a baby to this very day. Ugh. How he came by the name of Baconin was very simple. Baconin was the pronunciation given the name Johnson. In the island's English dialect. Okay. As for that dialect, it's easy to understand, difficult to write down. He chose for his sample the San Lorenzo version of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, how wondrous you are. The same poem went like this. Sent your leper store. Sounds kind of vaguely Germanic and very, yeah, like northern, very northern. Shahrazad is the one telling the stories in 1001 Nights. Oh, does she have like a crazy? Actually, I don't even know the general. Um, I don't even know the general shape of like the general like. I'm sure it's not a single plot, but I don't even know the general like synopsis of like 1001 Nights. Um, I'll get to that at the end of this chapter. The boat became the bed of the island's chief executive. Okay, the golden boat will sail again when the end of the world is near. Now, we are writing a story that makes this religion sound as kind of like like ridiculous, right? Like you don't want to be a member of this faith. Like not really, right? Maybe for shits and giggles, but like not like really. It doesn't sound like a real religion, whatever that means, right? So that's the way I think Kurt Vonnegut is framing it. The story is framing it. Uh, Let me just take a quick aside to see the potential parallel with Shahrazad. First wife was unfaithful. He wanted a new virgin every day. Wow. Wow. What a life. And to have her beheaded before she could dishonor him. Yeah. I mean, hell yeah. Jesus. Oh, gee. Eventually, no more virgins. And against her father's wishes, Shahrazad uh, volunteered to marry, had perused the books of preceding kings, 1,000 books, and she knows them by heart, so she's gonna prevent herself from being killed. Okay. Um, and she's apparently not a noble woman. So this is kind of like the power of stories is kind of being alluded to. Dude, yeah. It's kind of a cool character though. Yeah. Um, like the idea, the setup is so ancient. Oh my lord. Um, but yes, it's kind of a cool character. Um, I mean this king is kind of a scumbag, but but all right. But Shahrazad, uh, 1,001 stories. Got it. Lie in the religion, the noble, the bittersweet lie. Yeah, I have to think more about that to see how that connects. But yeah, I see some tone. I see some sort of like tonal resonance, you know, like the stories were not like in the modern world we divide stories into fiction versus nonfiction, but I think in the ancient world, did we do that? And I know the study of history in the West starts with what's that Greek guy's name? A Greek guy. Um, but yeah, what is history? What is nonfiction? And what is fiction? Sort of like, and then what is religion on top of that? Um, those are all sort of like themes that we play around with because we're so tongue in cheek about the way we're telling this story. Uh, so, with that, let's go into chapter 50, A Nice Midget. Okay. Nice title. My reading of the book, Hazel, Crosby. Is Crosby the politician or the business person? Tumor Hoot. Oh, the business. Well, no, I forget, but it's okay. I'm not gonna go and double check. So many characters. They weren't born Hoosiers, but they're Indianapolisians now, and Indian Neapolitans now. Indian Neapolitans. You think I should? They're your fellow Hoosiers. What are their names? she's so silly. Um, Connors, Hoyniker. Oh, wow, wild. Okay, nice midget. Smart little thing. Ah, so offensive, but okay, that's someone else's words. Does he call you mom? I almost asked him to, then I stopped. I wondered if maybe it would be rude. Nonsense. Okay, mom. Angela Hoyniker Connors and little Newton Hoyniker, members of my chorus. Horseface, platinum blonde, I had noticed earlier. Oh, though not grotesque. Nicely scaled as Gulliver. Uh, Gulliver's Tales is a whole other thing I should probably read at some point too. But Champagne, I guess I guess, little people weren't really a thing in the 60s, so this is like Kurt Vonnegut kind of introducing maybe? I don't know, man. The little son of a bitch, we go straight to cursing them, had Ice Nine. So did his miserable sister, while under us was God's own amount of water, the Caribbean Sea. Call me mom. Okay, mom. Okay, we keep making jokes about his size, which again, they don't really land with me. You were just a baby. I remember he said mildly. So apparently he was not a baby, right? He was like 9 or something like that. I wish I'd seen the letter. Okay. Honey, you should have shown me that letter. I didn't think. I might as well tell you. Dr. Breed told me I shouldn't cooperate. The book would probably never be done anyway. And like, I kind of believe him. Um, Shards over the sea. Yes, that is quite, uh, yes, ball tingling. I promised that I would do my best to paint the picture of a saint. We're going to the engagement party. Frank's getting married? Wait, Frank. Frank is the general, uh, lieutenant general or some major general in San Lorenzo. He's getting married. Okay, I'll show you. Uh, I'm like not sure what this person's gonna be. Flipped. Glimpses of little Newt, Dr. Felix, Angela's own girls. Is this the girl? Yes, I knew it. It's Mona. Yes. I kind of had just before I jumped to the bottom, I just had the thought that it could be Mona. Okay. So now the narrator and Frank. Narrator's in love with the woman who's going to be married to Frank. Narrator is converted to Baconanism, and Frank presumably is also a Baconanist because he's on this island, and I think everyone on this island is going to be Baconanist. Baconanist. But we'll see. That kind of pits the two men against each other for this piece of island ass, because that's all she is at the moment. Anyway, we'll see. No pain. Until someone had looked at every photograph. Okay, yeah. People I love. Was she trapped in plexiglass of a large part of our caress? There wasn't a grand falloner. I forgot the grand falloner. Oh, is this the first? No. Grand falloon. I definitely seen this word before. There we go. Is this like the fake caress? Yeah. That is what it is. Many photographs, a little person. Oh. What? Father Ice 9. Dr. Hoyniker was a little person too. Oh, I was I supposed to know that before? Is this the first time that we are seeing visual descriptions of him? Okay, I'm well now I know. Apparently, Felix Hoyniker is a midget as well. I guess I'll move on. Um, my favorite picture. Sorry, I'm losing track. Okay, my favorite picture, bundled up. This picture had been taken Hyannis or Hyannis or somewhere. Um, 3 hours before he died. He died in the cottage. In a very desolate landscape. He never said, I think he liked it, he just wasn't demonstrative. Some people are. She left out the fact that it was on the same Christmas Eve that he died that she and Frank and little Newt divided up the Ice Nine. I'm gonna guess little person. Actually, no, I think he said. Oh, actually, that's a good point. Maybe it doesn't mean the same thing. He was a little person, the purported sire of a midget and a giantess, so maybe it does just mean he's short because of that context. And because it's the first time he said, it's the first time I've noticed the text using the term little person instead of what we mean by little person. Um, but let's just do a quick check. Wait, how am I gonna check this? I mean, I could ask ChatGPT, but when did little person become the term we know it know it as now? Okay, this is obviously far too specific. Did uh Okay, you know what? This is probably good for me to read because I keep feeling awkward about whether I should not say the M word or not. Like I'm not sure what the I'm not sure how I've just never met a little person in my life, so I just don't even know how to frame it. So yeah, let's go into it. In the UK, US, Canada, Australia, labels that some people with dwarfism accept include dwarf, little person, or person of short stature. Some now consider this term offensive. Sometimes offensive. Okay, well that explains why. Explains why it's. Uh, yeah. Okay. So it's there's. Well, that's not very. But I guess Little People of America is a whole ass website, and dwarfism. The term dates back to 1865, the freak show era. Okay, there we go. That makes sense. I'm gonna avoid using the word midget now because yes, that makes sense that the word midget was associated with the freak shows, and we no longer want to use that because that was a bad time in history for little people. Um, yeah, and obviously obviously people would rather just be called by their names, and so we don't have these names. So we do have the word dwarf, and dwarf feels, for me, I don't know what it is. The word dwarf feels less condescending than little person. I kind of don't like. I don't know, man. I don't know how actual little people think about the word little people. So I just don't even know. But I feel like, dude. For now, I'm just gonna say little people because that is the one that I know, and I have not really said the word dwarf before. But hey, if anyone here wants to enlighten me on their actual experiences, please let me know. Wikipedia seems to use little people as the individuals of dwarfism uh, is another term. Little people. Oh, many are uncomfortable with dwarf apparently. Sure, but I guess I can see why. I can see why. Because dwarf. When people say dwarf nowadays, we are generally referring to like a fantasy world. Um, so little people is kind of what we are settling on. That's the shortest number of syllables that we have settled on. All right, so I'm gonna use the little people um, for the qualities of concision and general acceptability. Woo! All right, with that out of the way, I can continue. Um, I'm gonna go with Azure your interpretation. I actually think Hoyniker was not a little person. He was just a small, like a short person. Okay, so now we have a little bit of sinister. Um, it's a bit sinister. Angela and Frank and Newton are in cahoots. They might be the trifecta of evil. Let's see. President of Fabritech. Is this the guy that we already know, or is this a new guy? 6 feet tall, clarinet. A woman to whom God had given virtually nothing with which to catch a man. Connors, strikingly handsome, snappy, Don Juan, president of Fabritech. I couldn't tell you. Okay, so it's a new guy. It's Connors. Weapons, war. Okay, so this is the second time we're getting a company that's connected to the military-industrial complex. General Forge and Foundry, and now Fabritech are both connected to war, which you should expect, obviously, in a book that's kind of more or less analogously about the H bomb. I didn't even know he knew I was alive. All right, so quick inference. She's alone, she's sad. She's also the daughter of a genius and is in possession of an extremely, extremely potent weapon of mass destruction. Harrison Connors does not have good faith interest in this woman. Harrison Connors is also evil. Okay? He is also evil. He is suddenly taking an interest in Angela because of her connection to Ice Nine. 54. Okay. Communist, yeah. That's the first time I feel like I can make a prediction that I feel somewhat confident in. Like even if Vonnegut does something weird around it, he might just be doing this. He might still jerk. He might still jerk me a bit, right? He might yank the chain, and kind of like uh, send me some other direction, right? Misdirection. But for now, I think that is a very reasonable thing to say. 54. Royalists, parachutists. Okay, why are they involved in this? Um, Also, is royalist not a term for like? Isn't this antiquated? Like royalist is for people who are serving the British crown. So this is definitely like a revolutionary American Revolution term, right? It's not like a 1960s term. So yes, the old yellow pages when you could actually look people up by their names. That's all. That was a whole era. Uh, that's so crazy. You could just call somebody. You could go to a city. This is no internet, right? You go to a city and you would just have a name, and God forbid they have a very common name. Uh, you could just open up this big fat book and you could just call them. And usually there'd be multiple people with the same name, so you would call 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 people, be like, "Hey, Angela or Mona, this is me." It's like, "Who are you? I'm this guy." I mean, that's a whole different vibe. It sounds more fun because you kind of have randomness in that world, right? You go into that world and you can just call people. That's random. I think it kind of enforces a certain base level of sociality, right? You have to have some readiness to just pick up the phone and talk. Obviously, there's some costs to that, right? Like if you're like a fucking McKinsey analyst, right? You'll be like, but think about the productivity loss. And of course, there's productivity loss, but um, but but what a world, you can just call people. Like that's cool. Actually, I kind of want to live in that world. Um, so I turned to the pages that have to do with Nestor, the father of Finn, an architect, Nestor Amons. Wow, more characters. Captured by the Russians, liberated by the Germans. Finnish. Okay, there we go. Liberated by the Germans on the opposite side. Uh, were the Finns on the side of the Axis? Was not returned home by his liberator. Was forced to serve in the Wehrmacht engineer unit to fight Yugoslav partisans. Captured by Chetniks, Serbians, communists. Liberated by Italians, shipped to Italy. American draft dodger named Julian Castle. Whoa, I'm losing track. Who is Julian Castle? Is this the guy with the guy that employed Castle Sugar. This is the super rich guy at the sugar millionaire at this island. Castle, upon learning that Amons was an architect, invited him to come to the hospital, design the hospital. He accepted, designed the hospital, married a native woman, fathered a perfect daughter, died. Okay. I don't know how to feel about this narrator, dude. Uh, anyway, never index your own book. Okay. As for the life of Amons, Mona, jangling surrealistic picture. So she's the daughter of a guy who is connected to there's super rich Julian Castle, who is a sugar plantation guy, which is also kind of like, 20th century slave owner vibes for me. I don't really know the details of sugar plantation, but I assume it wasn't pretty, especially since they were not working on American soil. So I assume it's very not pretty. Um, and then they're designing a hospital. So this one, they're more morally neutral, I guess. Um, I don't know how to feel about these characters. Let's just keep going. Um, Adopted by Manzano to boost his popularity. Oh, hilarious! This is an actual index. uh, Wait, you can index a person? Did they have this? Okay, it's a book about her. Does the word life refer to biography right now? As for the biography, it could be biography. It probably is a biography. There's no way this is a yellow page. That's insane. Okay. I was trying to figure out what the hell we're looking at. So we're looking at the index of a biography of Mona Amons, I think. Adopted. And this is also a funny, very modern way to introduce a character. Hey, I'm a writer. You want to learn about this character? Here, let me write an index. That's creative. Um, Respect. Uh, Childhood in the hospital. Childhood romance with uh, the Castle. Dude, I forgot who. Castle is the son, right? P. Castle must be the son, and Julian is the father, right? Dude, I'm losing track. Maybe I should force myself to stop and memorize these names. I feel like me kind of just saying, yeah, whatever, there's too many characters. That's actually harming my own reading because it's actually making me lose track of who's who. Um, okay, can't find it. Philip Castle, son of Julian Castle. There we go. Oh, I'm being stupid. We're reading the index of Philip Castle's manuscript. Philip Castle's manuscript, which was given to somebody, and I'd completely forgotten. Okay. So this is not a Yellow Pages in the first place. Childhood romance with Philip Castle, death of father, death of mother, embarrassed by role as national erotic symbol, engaged to Philip Castle, essential naivete, Elizabeth Conan, poems about Mona, poems by Mona, not as many poems, returns to Manzano, returns to Buchanan, runs away from Buchanan, runs away from, tries to make herself ugly, tutored by Buchanan, xylophone virtuoso is so random and just obviously Kurt Vonnegut was going to make it super random at the very end. Okay. Um, oh, and you just explained it and I didn't see it. This is the index at the end of the book by Frank Castle. The book by Frank Castle, which was given to somebody, right? Let me know if you remember. Losing track of this. The Mintons. The Mintons is the Hoosiers people, right? I got an unexpectedly expert answer. Claire Minton had been a professional indexer. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Insulting to the reader. Self-indulgent. It's a shameless exhibition. Okay. Thank you, Azure. You're really helping me. Uh, okay. Uh, yeah. Philip Castle. Philip Castle. Yeah. This is actually a funny sort of meta commentary on reading. I think I like this kind of thing because I also write randomly occasionally, right? But I'm it's just a sort of funny. Yeah, an index is kind of meaningful. Like it's a whole. It's like it could be a whole like podcast um, bit where like like some friends are just chatting about indexes are dope. For like 15 minutes talking about indexes. Um, he's insecure. He'll never marry her. That's all I'm gonna say. Never index your own book. That's such a funny. Actually, I respect. You know what? I have. She has earned it. She has earned the highlight. I believe you. I will not index my own book now. A Dupress. She can tell that from an index too. Uh, like I'm actually kind of nervous. I'm nervous about how gay people are gonna show up in this story. Um, like how offensive is it gonna be? But okay, let's go. I'm like chuckling, but I'm like uncomfortable. A self-supporting squirrel cage. Okay, back to the past. A self-supporting squirrel cage. I read they were greeted by persons far worse off. Diseases. They couldn't even treat them. They had literacy, ambition, curiosity, gall, irreverence, health, humor, considerable information about the outside world. The Calypsos. Oh, a very sorry people did I find here. They had no music, no beer. Oh, everywhere where they tried to perch belonged to Castle Sugar Incorporated or the Catholic Church. Ooh. But Conan is the religion of the masses. Wait, I kind of thought that or not Frank Castle or whoever it was gonna be on the same side as Bakonin. I just kind of clumped all of the names that were connected to this island. I kind of assumed they were all gonna be in the same religion, and they all sort of same culty vibes. Um, like the religion was gonna be sponsored by the philanthropists, right? Uh, I assumed, but actually, it looks like now we're pitting the capitalists, right? We're pitting the businessmen against the people of the island. All right, here we go. Castle Sugar, founded by Philip Castle's great grandfather. It owned everything. Never showed a profit, but paying nothing. They managed to break even. Okay. Just enough to pay the tormentors of the workers. That is so bad. It's so fucking inefficient. It's so ironic, right? You just enslave these people, and all the money that you could have paid them in the first place, you're you're just paying you're just paying to the people who are torturing them or like whipping them or whatever. It's so bad. Uh, the form of government was anarchy. When they wanted to get something or own something, then it became feudalism. So there was no government until Castle Sugar needed something. then suddenly was organized around Castle Sugar. So Castle Sugar was the government essentially. The nobility were the plantation bosses. The knighthood were the big natives who would kill, wound, or torture. The spiritual needs were butterball priests. Now, butterball is, I'm assuming, just innocuous. A fat. Oh, I see. Oh, I didn't know that. Because I didn't even know butterball meant a plump turkey. So the priests are fat, which is in this context kind of relevant because it's not just making fun of fat people. Actually, it's signaling kind of the contrast between how well the masters are eating and how poor the people are. The cathedral was regarded as one of the man-made wonders of the New World, dynamited in 1923. The fact that they were able to take command was not a miracle. Many people had taken over San Lorenzo. It was very easy to hold. It's just that the island was worthless. Okay. Um, no resources other than sugar, I guess. They burned a few natives for entertainment and heresy and sailed on. Entertainment and heresy. I like that. I like that combination. Um, because it makes it sound like they were like there's a moment when you're reading they burned a few natives for entertainment and heresy, and you think they're doing it for heresy, like for the sake of heresy, like they want to perform a heresy, but actually it's the other way around. Historically, it's if you why would you kill a native like a local? Because they don't profess Christianity, right? Because they don't say Jesus is my Lord or whatever. And if they don't say it, then you kill them. So there's a moment when I think of burn a few natives for entertainment and heresy, and I have to take like a minute or like a couple seconds to like flip it around and be like, oh, that's what that means. But then that's ironic. Like, who's actually committing a heresy in the? If there is a God, then who's actually committing heresy by doing this? You know. Anyway, moving on. No Spaniards complained about it. No Frenchmen complained about it. No Danes complained. Right. It's just been passed around. The emperor was Tambua, a maniac. Never been attacked. Never defended anything. "1,400 persons are said to have died while building the defenses, and half were executed in public for not caring enough." Oh, Castle Sugar withdrew flaccidly, right? Because Castle Sugar couldn't make money off of this land, actually. So I was assuming that this guy was the Philip Castle's father, Frank, or whatever his name was a hyper successful and rich person. But actually, I mean, and he probably was not uncomfortable, um, but yeah, the plantation actually didn't make that much money. So they just withdraw flaccidly. Okay. Tyranny with a Difference. I like that title, Tyranny with a Difference. Utopia. Religion. Okay, so no, I'm kind of correct. If if Philip Castle and the whole Castle estate isn't really present anymore, right? Um, then yeah, I mean everyone that's associated with this island, they're all on the same team. They're not opposing each other. Johnson designed a new religion. Okay, so this religion is very, it's not being like even though our narrator subscribes to this religion, we are definitely not describing a flattering religion. I wanted all things to seem to make some sense, which is kind of funny, so we all could be happy instead of tense. I made up lies so that they all fit nice. I made this sad world a paradise. So they're drinking. Zinka. Okay. Romance. Dance. Just for me. No regrets. You get what you pay for. What did he? No, right? That's not a literal payment, right? She didn't prostitute herself to him, right? Uh, if I'm remembering correctly. Fasten your seatbelts. I was in the bar. Pissant. You know what I mean by pissant? I know the term, but doesn't have the ding-a-ling associations for me that it has for you. Okay. He spoke frankly and affectionately of the size. Okay. I mean, a little fella like this. Uh, okay, yeah. Thank you for confirming. It's the way he thinks. I'm 4 times as big as this little feller here, and they were pissants. I've seen this little feller. Not this little, but pretty damn little by God. And I call them real men. Thanks. Not even glancing. I shuddered with admiration. So, not a very attractive characteristic, and it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny because Crosby feels like it seems like he's describing himself, and that's like the irony here. My daughter wanted to marry a pissant once. This year I squashed him. We've all been to college. Cornell. My God, I went to Cornell. 3 Cornellians. And we had another Grand Falloon Festival on our hands. Pictures. I'll be damned. This Crosby is such a character. Um, we're over Manzano Airport, uh, Bolivar, San Lorenzo. Oh, okay, yeah. That's just the area. Wait just a goddamn minute. Newt didn't say Felix Honecker was one of the fathers. He said he was the father. Okay. Something about a dancer. I think we better get to our seats. Something about a Russian dancer. Crosby was sufficiently addled by booze to see no harm in thinking out loud. Oh, how I've been there before. Okay. I remember an editorial about how maybe the dancer was a spy. Oh, that. You really must get back to your. Oh, okay. Ooh, layers. Zinko was a spy. That actually kind of gets back at. That's kind of similar to Oppenheimer. The accusations that Oppenheimer had to go through because they thought that his love interest was was kind of was basically a communist supporting the Russians. That was a big deal in America. Newt looked up at Crosby innocently. You sure the name was Hoenecker? He spelled the name, and then Crosby backs down because Newt is being a little scary. A little scary. At least to us. Maybe not to Crosby because Crosby's drunk, but just the way that Crosby backs down makes, for me, the reader, makes me feel a little scared of Newt now. Even though he's been so placid, he's been a complete gentleman, but just this one moment characterizes him in a totally new light, in context of the fact that we are kind of suspicious of the fact that they all three of these siblings have the Ice Nine shards. Okay, it's more sinister now. That's a lot of names for Bolivar, and I'm not gonna remember all of them. Okay, Johnson McCabe, named in honor of Simon Bolivar. Actually, let's take a moment to learn about Bolivar. Liberator of Venezuela? Peru. It's my bad. I just made a guess. Oh, Venezuela is a thing. Who led? What are the countries of Colombia, Venezuela, Ecuador, Peru, Panama, and Bolivia? Let me actually. I don't know the locations of all of these countries anymore. I've forgotten. So let's. Oh, that's a huge area. Holy hell. That is everything but Brazil, Uruguay, Argentina, and Chile. And probably if he went all the way down to Paraguay, he probably had a bit of Chile as well. So basically everything on the right side of the Andes, I guess, right? Is this the Andes? Anyway. So that is a large area. Colombia, Venezuela, Ecuador, Peru, Panama, and Bolivia. This whole thing, this whole slice to this whole C shape that cups the Amazon. So everything west of the Amazon and everything east of this, I think there's a mountain range there. That must be right. That's a mountain range. That has to be the Andes, right? If I remember correctly. Yeah. Anyway, okay, got it. And this was in the this is the independence movement. They, and I guess he more or less single-handed, like his armies liberated the Spanish-speaking South America, except for the South and the West, from Spain. That's crazy. And this is in this is right after the American independence, the U.S. American independence. Okay. Bolivia and Venezuela are named after him. Which Bolivia I see, but what's Venezuela? His name is Simón José Antonio de la Santísima Trinidad Bolivar Palacios. Wait, I don't see Venezuela. Why? I don't get it. Is Venezuela his name? Um, got it. Anyway, that's good enough for me. I'll continue. Shahrazada and Bolivar. 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 That's kind of hard to pronounce, actually. Okay. Belt of twigs, tin, create mud, this crappy city. Catacombs of a trillion happy scavengers. Ugh. That's gross. Failed to raise the people from the misery and the muck. Papa Manzano failed as well. Wait, now I'm forgetting. Like, I know Manzano's status, but I forgot what he did. Did he do anything? He's just a dictator. Ah, I see. It was dense. $6 and $7. Okay, we tried a very like very literal a very literal communism, I guess. It's not even communism, it's just sharing money, which is not what communism is. But okay, failed. Not a lot of money there. What a corporal is worth. We were all required to submit to a luggage inspection. Okay, we finally landed. That flight was actually quite a long flight. From just in terms of novel, just reading time. We're converting the money into the corporals. They were worth 50 American cents, according to Papa Manzano. Higgledy-piggledy. Signs. Baconanism in San Lorenzo will die on the hook. Oh, so Baconanism. Okay, no. Baconanism is still a religion for the people. Okay, I'm flip-flopping. It's not a state-sponsored religion. Wait, but I thought... So the dictator versus McCabe and Johnson are two different forces. Papa Manzano versus McCabe and Johnson. Those are two different forces. Clever and kind and amused. Wanted, dead or alive. 10,000 rewards. Okay. Okay. Being dead. Christian nation, all footplay will be punished by the hook. Oh. Mingled their souls by pressing the bottoms of their feet together. I wonder where Vonnegut got this idea from. And the greatest mystery of all was how Baconin, bosom friend of Corporal McCabe, had become an outlaw. There we go. There's the split. I was looking for that split. Why Hazel wasn't scared. 7 of us who got off. Newton Angela, Ambassador Minton and his wife. Crosby and his wife. All right, I need to... I feel like they're going to keep coming back. So Crosby's first name is H. H and H. His wife is also H. Oh, but we don't get his full name. We just get H. Lowe Crosby. And his wife is Hazel. So H and H Crosby. H and H Crosby, these are the business people, if I remember correctly. The business Hoosiers. Oh, and first of all, they're also Hoosiers. So they're Hoosiers and they're H and H. Got it. I'm going to remember them now. It's going to be easy. Right, because they own the bicycle factory. Right. He's the Republican. Okay. And then we have Minton. Oh, there's a real guy, but let's get their first names. Okay, it's Horlick and Claire. So we have Horlick and Claire. Horlick and Claire, they're ambassadors. Got it. Horlick and Claire Minton. Kind of unusual names. So Horlick and Claire Minton, ambassadors, unusual names, versus Crosby, H. Lowe Crosby, and what, Hazel. Business people. Wait, what are you referring to regarding the touching of the feet? I mean, I'm not sure exactly, but the Bacononists mingled their souls by pressing the bottoms of their feet together. In Avatar, which is, way after this book, in Avatar you have the people, the religious ritual where they kind of connect their hair thing. And then bottoms of the feet, like, I feel like they must be referring to some other ritual that I don't know about. Like, it must, like physically touch, like, I don't know, like, but I don't know where it's coming from. Is all I was saying. Yeah. A crowd, 5,000, thin people, teeth missing, unclear eyes, bare and paltry breasts, loose loincloths, peenies. I've never seen that word. Peenies. Okay. Is that supposed to say peens? Did literally people say peens in 1960s? That's crazy, dude. Is this penis pluralized to penis, or is this literally just peens? Like, I just don't know. You know what I mean? Many dogs, not one barked. Everyone's like nutritionally deprived. No one has the energy to do anything. They're all just like standing there. I'm sure glad it's a Christian country, or I'd be a little scared. Behind us was a xylophone. Oh, and the sign said Mona. She's about to perform, I guess. Reverent and free. To the left side of our reviewing stand were 6 propeller-driven fighter planes in a row. Okay, so I like how we go straight from the image of poverty and emaciation to the image of weaponry. I like that contrast there. On the fuselage, I actually never learned how to pronounce that word. Let me, fuselage, fuselage, let's go. Lodge.
Fuselage.
This is fuselage. Okay. Got that out of the way. Back to the story. On the fuselage of each plane, a boa constrictor was painted, crushing a devil to death, blood dripping, pitchfork slipping, oatmeal colored pilot. That's kind of, is that a nice characterization? I can't tell. Oatmeal colored. I guess I don't want to be considered oatmeal. I think I kind of am oatmeal colored, so no, I dislike that. Then above that, tumid silence. Tumid is a good word. I'm trying to remember the connotation of tumid. Is it sexual? No, it's not quite. It's, you don't use tumid for. Hang on, this is like one of those words I just want to know how to use. Tumid. I must. swelling, a badly infected tumid leg, sales tumid, protuberant and bulging, turgid, and have I ever seen that word being used to describe a man's unit? Because I feel like I have. I don't think it was turgid. It's definitely not turgid because turgid is kind of more like. Okay, yeah, I guess it works, but it's not turgid. I mean, obviously bulging. Protuberant would be a funny way. I feel like I've seen this word being used for the unit. Uh, all right. Sorry, the earlier peens was kind of wiggling its way. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. Yeah, the peens is sort of still in my mind. Then above that, humid silence, this swollen, turgid silence. There came a nagging song, like the song of a gnat, which is not a pleasant sounding song. Cadillac limousine, his adopted daughter Mona, and Franklin Hoynecker. Yeah, tumescence is correct. You're right, actually. Tumescent is correct. I was thinking tumescent. I kind of, yeah. Let me, you know what? I just let's get this because now it's just like stuck in my head. So I need to learn. Oh yeah, no. Oh, I'm being stupid. Tumescent is directly about it. All right. It's specifically tumescent, and then tumid is just probably the same root. Tumid. Tumid comes from tumidus, and tumescence must come from the same thing. Yeah. Tumescere. Tumer, to swell. I mean, yeah, right? Yeah, tumer to swell. Okay, got it. So same root. It's weird that tumid, the short one, is more general, and tumescent, the long one, is more sexual. Is that weird? I feel like tumescent to me sounds more scientific. But I guess tumescent is probably being used kind of scientifically. All right, continuing. That's enough for penises. Let's continue. All right, at a limp. Okay, as soon as I say that's enough for penises, I get limp. Limp, imperious signal from Papa. The melody was home on the range, home on the range. The words were written 1922. Words were these: ours is the land, where living is grand, and the mere fearless as sharks. We're pure, and we always are sure that our children will all tell their marks. San Lorenzo, what a rich, lucky island are we. Our enemies quail, for they know they will fail, because the people so reverent and free. Okay, last chapter for me today. Peace and plenty. The crowd was deathly still again. Yeah, it's a blessing and a curse. Sorry, I'm not sharing my screen. I forgot to switch back. It's a blessing and a curse. I was just reading this bit. It's thank God I caught it so quick. It's a blessing and a curse. Sometimes I think, especially when I was young, I used to look up things too frequently, and it would just break my flow too much. But I mean, honestly, if I'm vibing and if I just want to learn something, might as well, right? Pick up a bit of side knowledge along the way. The crowd was deathly still again. We're on the reviewing stand. The drummer wore a shoulder holster with a 45. An old man in poor shape, still fat. His hands trembled. This is a military drummer. His personal bodyguard was Franklin Hoynecker. Wait. No. This whole description makes way more sense for Papa. Okay, that is Papa. Papa Manzano. Um, Frank looking like a child kept up long after bedtime. So that doesn't inspire confidence right now. On his breast was a medal. I could not take my eyes off of Mona. Thrilled, heartbroken, hilarious, insane, greedy, unreasonable dream, warm and creamy soul. She was only 18. She seemed to understand all. Her dress was white and Greek. Okay, pause real quick. Um, the we have lots of spies now, or I don't know about lots of spies, but we had two instances where romance was used kind of insidiously. The first one is we have accusations that Kinza, I forgot her name, but the Russian little person dancer. We have insinuations that she's a spy. And we also have Connors, who seems to suddenly take an interest in one of the Hoynekers, Angela Hoyneker, after the father dies, with potentially the knowledge that she owns a weapon of mass destruction. Okay, so I'm seeing this. I'm looking at this, and then I'm kind of a little bit disturbed, honestly. To be Zinka, thank you. Did I say Kinza? That's so dyslexic of me. Anyway, but I was close, I guess. Um, the uh, I'm horrible with names. It's actually one of my it's one of my big hurdles when I'm reading stories. Um, the this little obsession with Mona is actually creepy, and I can only imagine that it's going to be exploited for some other purpose. That Mona is going to mislead our narrator into some situation. I might be wrong, obviously. It's not a prediction so much, but I just have some suspicion. Her hips were a liar. Oh God, peace and plenty forever. She was the one beautiful girl. Which is also a little odd, right? The one beautiful girl, the one that's actually plumped up. Um, Divinity. The xylophone was rolled. She played it. When the day is done. Tremolo, intoxicated. Then it was time for Papa to greet us. That's a good place to stop, actually. All right, so what do we have? We finished our flight. We are at we are at the Manzano airport, or just outside of it. We're on a stage. Oh no, I need to do a phone call. But I need to also disconnect my FaceTime from my iPad so that doesn't show up. Okay. Um, let me send a quick message though. Uh, we're in front of the airport, and now we are finally at this island. We're gonna meet the Philip Castle. We're gonna meet Mona and Papa Manzano. We're gonna meet all these people, and we're sort of triangulating on the Hoynekers. They're sinister now. Now we're committing to them being sinister. We have some issue with them. Okay, um, they're a little sketchy, a little scary. So the battle lines are being drawn, and now and we also have the sort of redeemers, the religious figure of Johnson, known as Bakonin, who is a rebel force, right? So you can even see this like in a Star Wars situation. You have the rebels with their religion, um, and and our narrator, our dear narrator, who is in love with Mona and who would definitely compromise the rebels. because Mona is not a rebel. Actually, now that I think about it, I haven't watched Star Wars in a long time. What was Princess Leia, right? She was a rebel princess, right? She's not connected to the Empire, right? Um, she, unless somehow we have this delusion that we're gonna kind of bring Mona over from the Empire, I assume that there's gonna be some plot twist there or some complications there. Um, yeah, so we're seeing a pretty well. I'm starting to see some tropes that I can now identify. It's now the sort of shape of the story is feeling a little bit more, a little less just unsettling. Up until now, I was just like, what the hell is going on? We're building a world, but I don't trust anyone. I don't know whose side I'm supposed to be on. But this time around, with Chapter 64 being the end point, I guess I'm on the side of the weird cult, right? Of the weird cult with the annoying ditties. Um, I guess that's the team that we're all on, right? So that is my current position on this story as of chapter 64. I think we're halfway through the story now, right? Let me remind myself. It goes for 100. Yeah, we're halfway through the story. There's 127 chapters, exactly halfway, or practically halfway. All right. I'll see you guys in the next stream. Until then, I'll be mostly just because I don't read this story. I don't read the story except on stream. I'll be just reading my own things. Like I mentioned in the last stream, I'm currently kind of juggling between 3 books. I mostly read Anna Karenina. That's probably 80% of the reading that I'm doing. So if anyone wants to read Anna Karenina with me, geek out about it with me, come join. And besides that, I'm also rereading, that's rereading Anna Karenina, and I'm reading Zen at War and The Bell Curve. So if somebody's out there who happens to be interested in this at the same time as they're watching, as I'm actually streaming this, hey, let me know. We can chat about it. I'm chatting obviously in the YouTube streams, but also in my Discord server. Okay, until next time, keep on learning, keep on growing. Thank you, Azure, thank you for lending me your memory, because I was forgetting some of these characters as I was reading, and you were helping me kind of get over that hump and making the stream better as a result. So thank you so much, Azure. Hope to see you again on Tuesday. Until then, keep on learning, keep on growing. Peace.